Hi, Gio.
How's it going, Mateo?
It's going great. Thank you very much for taking the call today and for giving us the time for the interview.
Sure.
Thank you very much. So, Dio is the head of global optimization and marketing for Ink Global and a new Navigator product and the new Navigator product that they have. So, Dio, tell us a bit more about what do you do, what is the Navigator product, and what do you see for
Sure. Yeah.
this?
I had the team here at Inc. And basically in charge of all of the kind of advertising results when it comes to the clients on the Navigator platform. And basically what the Navigator platform is, it's a direct connection with the airline audiences and the ability to basically advertise to the travel audience, right? Which is one of the most lucrative audiences you can kind of ask for, right? And it gives a big opportunity for anyone really trying to go after that travel related kind of industry, right? I think that's the kind of bulk of the questions, right?
Yes, and so what exactly does the platform that you're using do?
Yeah, so basically it overlays on top of Facebook, Instagram, or Google Display Network and allows us to basically help our clients advertise to travelers according to a specific airline that we might be in a partnership with, right? So let's say someone is traveling from New York to Cancun, Mexico, and our client wants to advertise to basically anyone traveling into Cancun. This allows them to do that in a very hyper-targeted way because I'm sure, as you know, advertising, half of it is identifying your ideal audience, and the other half is figuring out the offer, the deal, the discount, whatever may work, right?
Wow, that sounds so cool. And how do you see this? Like which brands do you work with? Like what is your approach towards the opportunities right now for the brands in this?
Sure. Yeah. It ranges. We work with some of the biggest brands in the world. I'm not going to disclose any of them. I don't know exactly what kind of privacy policy we have in state with them. But yeah, we advertise for some of the biggest brands in the world, as well as just local hotel chains or restaurant chains or anyone that's really going after that travel audience that makes a large amount of their revenue from that travel audience. And yeah, I believe you asked what's the opportunity right now after the pandemic, right?
Yes, what do you see as an opportunity from a marketing point of view and a digital approach?
Right. So the opportunity is that right now, most of at least the American audience, and obviously this can account for a lot of the world, is dying to travel, right? So they're going to travel at some point. It's not if, it's when. And when they travel, they're going to be very open to most things. I think before the pandemic, everyone had maybe in their mind the ideal hotel they wanted to stay at, where they wanted to eat, things like that. Because of the pandemic, I think everyone is going to come into the kind of travel space with a much more open mind. So from a client or a brand point of view, it kind of leveled out the market, and now you have an opportunity to go against some of the biggest brands in the world. If you're kind of a smaller one, right, a smaller chain, a smaller type of client, and if you're one of the bigger brands in the world, it gives you an opportunity to take more of your market share, or take more of the market share from, let's say, a competitor in your space by making a more lucrative deal offer, enticing one, right? It kind of leveled everything out right now. So to a certain extent, everyone has a fair shot post pandemic right now. People are going to travel. Now it's about seeing who's the most, not just aggressive with their marketing strategy, but the most creative, right?
Yeah, it's so impressive. So it's about leveling the market field, really the play field for the market share. Like
Yeah.
gathering like strategies to actually get to a higher market share percentage.
Hmm.
And what have you seen like as best practices in the marketing like approach and the strategies from what we've been seeing and in today's new post-pandemic world?
I think just one general one is everyone is looking for some type of pre-built package and deal, right? They don't want to think too much. They don't want to customize too much. They just kind of want to grab something that sounds really enticing, whether it's a great dinner package, if they're a restaurant, a great stay package if they're a hotel, or the everything in total as a resort. They want to get something that kind of includes everything they have in mind and ideally some extra, and attach a deal or an offer or something to that that kind of helps them make that logical decision much easier on an emotional level, right?
So like more towards a really broad messaging towards a certain like a qualified audience instead of a personalized message to a broader like a broader audience.
I'd say it's more of having less friction between the customer and the buying process. So, usually I'm sure it'd be much more customizable in the past, and you've had a ton of options. I don't think a customer wants a ton of options right now. I think they want 2 or 3 packages to choose from, whether they're, going for a dining experience or resort or whatever it may be, and having that available for them. And of course, adding some kind of a deal, discount offer, what have you.
So a much like really tailoring on the audience, basically.
Yeah. Tailoring and just lowering that friction, making it easier for them to make a decision.
And in terms of the customer journey, how many like steps or process do you think it should take for someone to actually achieve a conversion or converts a client?
Well, right now, just like in the online space, we know it can take anywhere from 7 to 30, even more touches in terms of data points for a person to convert. So on that level, it can go anywhere in between those kind of fields. Now, of course, if you have the opportunity that we do to advertise on such a granular level to your ideal audience, let's say if it was the travel audience here through Inc., then those data points kind of lower, right? And you can actually convert at a much higher level, much quicker. But aside from that, again, it's also understanding the price point of your ideal customer and then how enticing your offer actually is, because I feel that's a big point that maybe a lot of the older kind of smaller really brands as well don't have a grasp on right now, is making an enticing offer that is, let's say as an example, a bit better than $25 in food and credit. That is not really going to push the needle too much.
Right. So being like you think right now that it's about being aggressive in a way of like really taking that market share from the competitors from a more aggressive point of view from a strategy point.
Right. And really, yeah. And not being afraid to test a kind of large amount of offers.
And how important do you think right now it's to have different multiple options, as you say, as you mentioned?
Extremely important. You need to figure out what's working, right? There's no way you're going to know exactly coming out of the gate. The world is a bit different. People are thinking differently. And again, you're going to have usually a much more mixed audience, maybe that's traveling. So you want to find out what works right now, not what worked in the past.
Yeah, it's about, and I totally agree with that approach, because as the more that we test, the more data we can get and the more specialized we can get to the offer and get to that, like I like to call it like the magic potion that actually works for a certain audience, and trying different streams of strategies per different audiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, Gio, thank you very much for your time. And is there anything you want to add towards value, towards more giving more value to the customers that you can serve in the future, and the audience that it's actually listening to us today?
I think it's important to not undervalue creative. I just see a lot of brands and companies, right, that come through, or we see from afar, right, that are maybe using 1 or 2 pieces of creative. Like really try to test a lot more, be a bit different, and understand that ideally after 5, 10 different pieces of creative, you'll really find a winning offer, a winning kind of piece that goes together, and that might make the biggest difference between a 2x return on investment and an 8x, right? Which we've seen some pretty incredible returns, right, Mateo?
Yeah. Awesome, Gio. Thank you very much for your time, and this is gold.
Yeah.
Pure gold.
Yeah, glad I could help, man.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.